itself. It can happen to anybody, and it's something we all should be shooting for. Any other questions?
How effective is a live donation, like in terms of long-term prognosis? When you're putting a portion, does that suffice? Will it do the job of a full liver?
And actually, that's another good question. They performed the first one in 2000, and first-line liver donor. And since then, they have found no casualties. So they take great care when they're performing these things, because in order to become a candidate and a match, there's rigorous guidelines that you have to go through. So because of that, they haven't had, it's been a complete success.
I just mean for the recipients.
For
that portion of the liver suffice, or is it only a stopgap until a full liver is available?
No, it's the same as receiving a cadaver organ, actually.
Really?
Yeah, you have the same benefits, the same success in living a full, productive life. There's many recipients that have received live livers that testify to that and have testified to that.
So then you're completely removed from the donor list, then, so to speak.
That's right. That's right. That's why usually when somebody does need a liver, they're on the waiting list. They usually first find out if they could become a candidate for a live liver, and then they search the family members to see if there's anybody from the family that's willing to donate and become a compatible donor. So. And there's, as I mentioned, there's been cases where strangers have stepped up.
So the 98% success rate is not, it's more feasible nowadays.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just so amazing what they've done, and it's since they've developed the anti-rejection drugs, which work perfectly, and all the surgery procedures have been updated where, once upon a time they did. Infections usually occurred but now these things are non-existent.
I'm surprised to see so few live donors, because I think that would be the hot ticket. That's a solvable issue.
Yeah,
it's not life-threatening.
Exactly.
And high success.
Yeah. Well, what we did in Ontario was we tried to pass a law where the donors, or the people, strangers that were willing to donate, could get compensated, not in terms of getting paid for doing it, but to compensate the expenses. Because what was happening, we had a lot of people that were stepping up to the plate to do it, but then they found out that there was like $6,000 of expenses incurred. Travel, travel, loss of work, accommodation, it all added up to about $6,000. So they passed a law in Ontario where if a stranger donor does step up to the plate to do that, they'll get compensated for the expenses. And that's been encouraging more people to do it. And so...
A real slap in the face to get a $6,000 bill for being a good Samaritan.
It was crazy because, and we witnessed a lot of people, because when Christopher was walking, a lot of people wanted to donate their liver to Christopher. That's where we knew there was a lot of people out there that would do these things. But when they tried, and they found out that there was $6,000 of expenses, then exactly.
Well, you didn't have a corporate sponsor that would, or maybe tax rebates for the government to, as a way to connect to the government in terms of rewarding or encouraging people would be, not necessarily a tax credit, but maybe an incentive.
They're doing that in some of the states.
Really?
Yeah. So the provinces have the power to implement these things. So that's why more discussion is encouraged. We tried to get this going during our Ontario elections, and it's a big thing because right now they're looking at the opt-out system in Ontario. There's a bill presently in...
I think it's an interesting way of tackling it.
Yeah.
I think it's a very interesting way of doing it.
Yeah. So, who knows? We're hoping each province can have their own way of